YouTube, the May Brawl Stars update is around the corner. The new date for Brawl Talk was announced. I'm going to go over all new update info we have, and in the theme of updates, I have 7 really good ideas for new brawlers that I think Supercell could actually add. Let's do it. So how do we know when Brawl Talk is? Well, they announced it on the most recent esports broadcast that the new Brawl Talk is going to be on May 9th.
Brawl Talk? May 9th? Oh my goodness!
Saturday, May 9th. And that probably means sneak peeks will follow after, but usually, based on the history of updates, it'll probably be on May 11th when sneak peeks will start, because that's usually what they do, because, you know, they want to do it when they're at the work office. Well, work home, I guess, in this case. But I don't exactly know, and they probably won't give me that info yet, and if they did, I wouldn't be allowed to say, but I will be covering all of the sneak peeks coming in the next Brawl Stars update, and of course, the Brawl Talk as well. So if you don't want to miss any of that stuff, definitely subscribe, and if you want the notification, you gotta hit the bell. Alright, now let's go over 11 really cool ideas for new brawlers, and let me know which one is your favorite that Supercell should really consider adding. Alright, what about Barry, an epic support that can shield his allies? That sounds really cool. A shield ability would be fun, especially for your allies. Barry's a robotics technician who works with high advanced technology to create powerful holograms. He attacks by creating a holographic disc that can bounce off one wall before hitting an enemy. His super creates a giant barrier in front of him that protects him and his allies. That's cool. So it's like a Pam turret, but no healing, just a temporary shield. Interesting. Now, according to the info in the comments, Barry's flying disc has 2 ammo slots. That's actually pretty interesting. And his disc damages 1400 long range, so it's another attack that can bounce off walls, but only once. I think that's pretty cool. And also 2 ammo slots is also pretty unique. We've had 1 and 3 and 4, but we haven't had 2. Now, Barry's super is that huge shield, sort of like, honestly, I don't know if you guys know the Halo bubble shield that I haven't played Halo in a long time, but they did have that as one of the items in there. I think it sort of seems like that. Width of 5.5 tiles, can shield up to 5,000 health, a little bit more. So pretty strong. And his gadget is protective projection. Barry and all nearby allies are shielded by 30% of their health for 3 seconds. That's a really powerful gadget. Probably would need to nerf that to like 10% since it's for him and his allies, but that's a cool, I like the shield idea. Star power, first star power, hard hit, or hit hard. His hologram flying disc can deal an additional damage if they pass through his shield. Okay, also kind of unique, keeping with it. Second star power, hollow guard. His shield is now 1 tile wider. Okay, that's not bad. All right, what about Gator, a mythic tank with new attack mechanics? Get creative with endless possibilities of dealing damage to enemy brawlers. All right, I like what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing a pentagram though, so I'm not sure about that. Enemies too far, don't worry, your super deals with them. Just make sure you're safe while doing it. Okay, interesting. Yeah, 7,000 health. His attack is shot put. Gator throws 2 steel balls attached with a chain. Each part deals individual damage. It does more damage the closer the person is to you, like an opposite Piper. I actually thought that would be a cool mechanic. That's very interesting. Huh. This sounds very complex. His super is called Propeller. He throws his weapon in a circular motion, and the boomerang effect allows him to hit targets through walls and in a large area multiple times. A 2-second spinning animation is performed before throwing the weapon. Okay, so it's very strong, but it's also risky because you're sort of standing still, and you can take a lot of damage while you're doing that. That's sort of like a ranged tank. Actually, that would be pretty cool. We have Bo, who is high health and ranged, Pam, high health and ranged, but not super tanky like this attack person would be. Now, 2-star power ideas, barbed wire. 150 additional damage is added to the chain. All right, just extra damage, it's fair. Other one is no scopes. Damage received from over 6 tiles is reduced by 50%. All right, that's pretty unique. And Gator has time to put his shield up and absorb damage with it. Those are really unique ideas. I feel like this one's a little hard to imagine because the attack sounds really unique, to be honest, but the idea itself seems pretty cool, and it's definitely something they could work with. Now, here is a brawler concept based off the idea of a hungry plant monster accidentally created by Rosa named Venus, and actually this was published 3 months ago before Sprout came out. So look at that. They had a similar idea as Supercell. Venus is a monstrous creation of Rose that's gone terribly wrong. He pinches enemies from a distance to attack and throws down 2 hungry plants with the super. Now there's more additional info in the comments. The health is pretty low, about 4,500, but has a super fast move speed like Crow. The attack is Hungry Hands, sends out 2 quick long-range chomps with fly trap hands that do not pierce enemies. The range is 8.5 and only does about 900 damage per punch. But if they both hit, that would be a lot of damage. Sounds interesting, maybe a little hard to imagine. That's also a long range. But if it's like kind of slow for each one, might not be too bad. Now the supers throws down 2 potted plants that will chase after enemies and deal massive damage at close range. 520 damage per second, but a slow reload speed and a fast movement speed, but about 4,000 health. That's actually, it sounds super strong. Now 2 star power ideas. First one, soil nutrients. Venus gnaws monsters, or the super will heal 300 health per second. Wow, that sounds maybe strong. I'm not quite sure. It doesn't help out the Brawler itself, just the super. Second one's called Monster Appetite. Venus's gnaw monsters, the super, gain an 11% buff to their movement speed. Wow, okay. That maybe would be really strong because they're already, I think, pretty fast, right? Their movement speed is very fast, and then they get additional buff. Super fast spawners are really hard to deal with because not all Brawlers can deal with them well, like Piper, Dynamite, so it might be too strong, but it sounds cool. All right, what about Tele, a rare fighter Brawler? Tele is a former guide robot turned Brawler who throws 2 nasty punches at far away targets, kind of like the Gadget Man, maybe? I don't know. His super pushes his limits, heavily increasing his attack power and reload at the cost of draining health. All right, that's pretty unique. The attack is 0-1-2. He lets loose a 1-2 punch combo like flaming rocket hands. Deals 600 damage per fist. All right, so not a lot of damage, but 8 tile range almost. Not too bad. Reload speed pretty average, maybe slightly above. 2 ammo bars. Okay, another 2 ammo bar Brawler. Pretty unique. Not a lot of damage, so let's look at the super. 30% more damage and a 1.1 reload speed, but loses 10% health per second. That's super risky, but sounds really interesting. The ability to do a lot of damage at the cost of health, I like that idea. That is also very unique. Now, star powers, powered rocket. When Tele Super is fully charged, the rocket fist will tile 1 tile further. All right, I like it. Kind of similar to Mr. P's range extension, but this time only with the super activated. So a mix between Mr. P and Jean's star power. The other one is breaking the limit. Tele gains a 16% speed boost when under the effects of overclock, his super, but his HP gain is increased by 15%. Or no, 15%. So an even stronger super, but also even riskier. Interesting. No gadget ideas, but I like the idea of this Brawler. What about Spores? Healer of allies and damager of enemies. Alright, interesting description. Spore is a bad mushroom healer who fires exploding healing mushrooms at his enemies. Explosion does not affect enemies. Explosion heals nearby allies. His super is a large mushroom that explodes, releasing spores that poison enemies and heal allies over a short period. Now there's more info in the comments and it makes a little bit more sense. So the attack does damage enemies, but the explosion is the only part that heals them. So fires out a mushroom, and if the mushroom hits an enemy, it deals 800 damage. Actually, it fires out 2 mushrooms. Each one does a little bit over 800 damage. And then they explode, and the explosion heals for 350 health to any allies. Okay, so that makes more sense. I am a little worried about, it would be kind of difficult to hit an enemy and heal an ally, but I guess if you're, it's kind of like Poco, you've got to run it with tanks who are going to be close to enemies. That's the real possibility. Now the super is, again, that giant mushroom that explodes into hundreds of spores. Allies who are caught in it will heal over 5 seconds, so it's an overtime healing. I think that's good. Enemies caught in the blast will take damage as well for 5 seconds. The damage is 150 per second, so not a lot, but kind of annoying, stopping you from healing. And the healing is 500 per second, so a good amount of healing, but less than a Poco super, for example. A little bit less. The range is 8 tiles, so that's pretty long. But it's going to take 11 mushrooms to charge, so it's a long charging super. The gadget is Mushroom Grotto. Spores grow a ring of 6 mushrooms around him, each healing 200 health to enemy allies that pick them up. So he like drops healing mushrooms around him. That's kind of interesting. Instead of just like and they last a little bit of time. So instead of just being next to him, you can just follow him, kind of. 2-star power ideas. First one is Sniper. Enemies hit by Spores' main attacks will take an additional 140 damage a second after being hit. I think that's not bad because the damage is not very high for this brawler. The other idea is more Spores. Spores' healing explosion radius from his main attack is increased by 1.5 times. Okay, so that was what I was worried about, was the range was on the healing was not very long. You can have a star power to increase that healing explosion. I think that's good. What about Sky, the butterfly superhero sidekick of Max? While Max wants to be a superhero, well, you got a sidekick now. Sky attacks by firing 5 butterfly darts that deal more damage if they hit the same enemy in succession. Her super allows her to fly over obstacles for a short period of time. That's really cool. That would be fun. More info in the comments. The attack has a range of 8 tiles, not super long, but a little bit. The damage is 420 plus 28 per hit, and the real speed is 2.1. So if all 5 of them hit the same person, quick math, it would deal almost 2,400 damage, but that's if all 5 hit the same person. So probably hard to do. Now the super allows her to fly, and she can attack while she's doing it, and she can attack over walls. That makes sense, but she can still be hit while she is flying. Okay, and it lasts for about 7 seconds, and it takes 12 butterfly darts to charge. That sounds like it charges pretty fast. I feel like maybe it should not charge as fast, but interesting. Now the gadget is Butter Knives. Activating Sky's gadget will make all of the darts from her next 2 attacks deal max damage without needing to hit a target consecutively. Interesting. Star Power 1 is Chrysalis. When activating her super, she creates a Chrysalis that will heal the first ally that comes in contact with it for 2,000 health. Sounds weird, but okay. Star Power 2, Life Cycle. Sky gains an additional 5% reload reduction when her super is not active, and a 10% movement speed when her super is active. Now what about Bob and Bolt? 2 connectable robots with 2 different forms. Also, can we give a shout out to Mini Matt, who came up with most of these ideas, which all of them sound really cool, and a lot of great artwork as well. Props. Now Bob and Bolt is a super rare fighter, and they were built to help deal with the overabundance of evil robots like Barley, right? Using his Tick, really, come on. Using his retractable limbs, Bob can alternate between a slow unit or a fast orb, while Bolt does the attacking. Now the attack is Bolt Blast. Bolt will fire 5 powerful bolts of electricity. If Bob is in ball form, Bolt only fires 2. Each projectile does a little bit under 500. Wow, if there were 5 of those, that's a lot of damage. Range 8.5, real speed about 2 seconds. The super is edit setting. Bob switches from bot mode to ball mode, so it takes the super to switch, where he gains movement speed at the expense of attack power. Okay, pretty cool. Oh, it says super is always available? I don't know how I feel about that, but the idea of switching between 2 different types of brawlers is cool, for sure. Star Power 1, Robo Bond. When Bob is in bot mode, he gains a shield that shields 20% of all damage. Bot mode is the one that does more damage. Okay, so less movement speed, but has a shield with that star power. The other one is Divide and Conquer. When Bob is in ball mode, the fast one, he gains an additional 7% buff to his movement speed, so he can move even faster. Okay. If you enjoyed this video, we've had other great ideas for new brawlers that Superheroes should add right over there that I'm sure you would enjoy checking out as well. That is going to be it for today's video, though. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Hope everyone is staying safe, and I'll catch you later. Peace.